So, how is everybody killing time nowadays? And have you ever had this much time at home?
I actually took I was actually off Monday and Tuesday. So for us on our side, like I'm still coming to the restaurant on a regular every day. I sit at the front. Uh, I have no physical contact with anyone, but you sit at the front. You just monitor what's going on in the world, um, and that's kind of it. But this week I took Monday and Tuesday off, and sat at home for the most part. And I cannot tell you how difficult, from an entrepreneur level that was. That you want to go out, you want to do something, but your portal is just this screen and this keyboard, and it's difficult, very, very difficult.
You're having problems adjusting that, aren't you, Obby? You don't know which angle makes you look as
I don't know what's
perfect.
going on. I got this light behind me. My kid's playing NHL. I'm trying to eat some eggs. Camera. I feel like there's too much light down on my head. I don't know what's going on.
You got the shiny. Look, I got a shiny forehead, so if my forehead is shiny, yours couldn't be as shiny as mine.
All good. Okay, I guess I'll go next. What was the question, sorry?
The question is, how are you killing time nowadays? I know you run several businesses. You always you're always doing something. You're always on the radio. You're always talking about something and running your businesses, which I always wonder how you do. And now it's kind of come to a halt.
So I have 6 restaurants. 3 of them are closed and 3 of them are still open.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still operating, like almost like a normal work day for me. I'm still up at 5:30 in the morning, doing a home workout now, and then I'm getting to the office and I'm working all day, shuffling products around. I mean, we have a lot less staff to manage, a lot less bills to pay, a lot more stress because people are constantly asking me staff. And we had to lay off almost 60 employees. So I'm still dealing with the fallout from that. But I'm still trying to stay busy. I think the most important thing for me is structure and schedule. And that's half my life. The other half of my life is I have my son, and he's not in school. So I have him full out daddy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that's been, I think, pretty tough. But I'm managing, we're getting by. And I'm trying to adhere to the schedule the best I can because I think that's important for sanity.
Gotcha. Kate Fenkse, CEO of Downtown Winnipeg Biz. I know you're probably busy as usual. You're always got people coming at you to do certain things. So how is this time being spent for you?
Yeah, for me, like the others, it's actually still full steam ahead. I've actually been working more in the last 2.5 weeks than the previous, I would say, year at the Biz. It's been all systems go, evenings, weekends, really just trying to figure out how to support businesses. But because the situation is changing so rapidly every single day, whether it's a closure from the province to protect Manitobans and help slow the spread, we're really having to be nimble and constantly pivoting. I think about that, that Friends clip where they're taking the couch up the stairwell and they're yelling pivot. I just kind of hear that in my head every single day. Yeah, you're trying to figure out, what do we do next? How do we support businesses? Okay, so now restaurants are, first it was, spacing out the tables and providing more distancing for the physical distancing. And this week it was, restaurants, you can't sit in them anymore. So it's curbside delivery and we're delivering the curbside pickup. And so for us, it's constantly trying to come up with new creative ways that we can support restaurants, retails, and just businesses in general that are either forced to close under the new public health order, or really trying to adapt and be innovative. So I'm on calls with business members throughout the evening, weekends, and our team actually at the Downtown Winnipeg Biz, we're still operating all of our full frontline operations. It really is that critical service that we can provide, so that visible presence, but we're also checking in on businesses that have closed. So checking their spaces, making sure everything's still okay there, and just checking in on the businesses that are open, seeing if there's anything that they need from us.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you think, like I know everybody has the same problem no matter where your business is located, but what problems could be a challenge for businesses downtown specifically during this time and when this time is over?
Yeah, I think I can kind of start at the high level, and then I know Sachit and Obby will have really what they're figuring out as we go. For us, I think we saw the impact from COVID-19 before anyone else in the city, really, because the primary customer base for downtown businesses are the 70,000 people working downtown. So as people started working from home, they weren't out grabbing lunch or the stuff to go, and they weren't out running their errands downtown. So we really saw that impact immediately, and downtown businesses really were among, I would say, some of the first that were figuring it out and adapting right away. And I think when we're looking at ahead, we need to be ready to welcome everyone back downtown when it is safe to do so. So we're already starting that recovery phase and that planning phase of what do we need to do? How do we need to up our game and encourage people to come back downtown when it is safe to do so? So from our end, it's a little bit of both, is what's happening right now, but also trying to look, a 30 days, 60 days, 90 days out.
There's a bit of a 30,000 foot view in my eyes on all this as well. And one of the things that, we take for granted for some reason in downtown Winnipeg, is just this idea of representation, right? And so we've got Kate and the Biz, who have always been doing a great job. And you've got, voices like Obby's, mine out there talking about, these 8 or 10 or these 13 acres downtown being so important. And one of the things we take for granted tied into all that is this idea of business and pleasure tourism, right? And we've got an issue now where we're looking at not the next 30, 60, 90 days, but potentially the next 6 months or a year where, this giant influx of cash dollars that support our transport, our convention centers, our museums, our pay-for-play areas like MTS Center, and then, of course, all the little restaurants, guys like us, the hotels that are going to be impacted, right? So these people that normally would come in for conventions or business purposes may not be. And that's not just a Winnipeg thing. It's going to be across the country and across the world. And so how do you recompete? How do you reset the dialogue that's currently happening out there? And that dialogue really is one amongst, are we renegotiating the social contract of how to participate in a city or a society, right? So this whole idea of 5 or 10 people in a room, of 6 feet apart, of tables being distanced a certain way, what impact does that have on flights? I mean, there's a massive level of discussion there that filters down to this, what it means to 5 tables in my little Indian restaurant, right? So there's a huge discussion happening there in the cloud that's going to come down, and it's really going to filter itself through things like tourism and other mediums, and it's significant.
Yeah, if I could take off of what they both said there. So, I'm fortunate to have restaurants spread out throughout the city. We have, some in the burbs and some in the downtown core. And the downtown cores were immediately hit. We had to shut down Shwarma Khan Graham within a day or two of kind of this first wave of outbreak. And then it was Shwarma Khan Exchange we had to shut down. And those are 2 of my busier stores. The ones in the burbs are actually still open. So Shwarma Khan and Pembina is still chugging along. Sales are only down about 10% there. So that store is actually doing okay. I mean, there's a huge burb population. A lot of the sales have shifted to Skip the Dishes and DoorDash because we're takeout only there now. But that store's chugging along. And Green Carrot Airport, which made up 65% of the Green Carrot revenue stream, is gone, completely shut down. So now we're running off of 2 stores, and Tuxedo location and the one in Osborne are actually doing relatively okay. But the downtown core is what people really need. When this is over, like Kate said, I cannot emphasize enough, we need to get people back downtown, and we need to get them down fast and immediately. So what that plan looks like, I mean, Kate, good luck. I'll help you in every way I can. I know the city went through and said half an hour free parking. That's got to extend through this recovery phase. There's got to be other incentives to get people to come back downtown, because there is going to be this apprehension of people wanting to go back downtown. And I think if we don't kickstart that immediately once this outbreak is done, there'll be even more problems to come. And I'm really afraid of the ripple effect down the road of what's going to happen, like Sachit said, with tourism and hotels and that industry, with people just being afraid to go to work or afraid to go to restaurants and support local businesses. So, I think the burbs, for all it says, is okay. I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone. I can speak for myself that it's a different monster out there than what is in the downtown core. I was at my office today, and I counted one car in almost 15 minutes that drove by, and that's downtown.
What kind of things do you think business owners, no matter where they are, downtown or the burbs, maybe you can speak to them separately, what kind of things do you think that they can do now to prepare for opening when this is over? You know what I mean? If there was like a textbook 1, 2, 3, what kind of things could they, think of or set up now that would actually help them succeed in opening?
Well, just briefly, I mean, and maybe just a bit of a 1, 2, 3 is first make sure that you can be open. You don't want to get lost in this whole idea where the sales are gone and the cash flow that you're counting on is gone and you don't know what the next steps are. So do the basic things, right? Defer or abate what you can, control things in terms of costings that you can, talk to all your suppliers, make sure all that business is in order. Make sure the things that you need on the other side of the 30 and the 60 and the 90-day tube are going to be there, right? So if you're a supplier that's working with paper or leather or whatnot, make sure those suppliers are going to be there for you on the other side of that, so that you actually have those products to work with. For guys like us that are in a specialty food business, we didn't lay off any of our staff. Like, they're all still here because consciously for me, I'm very aware of the skill sets that I need to retain and to make sure that we have them when we do open again, and have them there ready to go. Otherwise, all you have is a compounded problem. A, you've been closed for 30 days, 6 days, 90 days, whatever, and B, you don't necessarily have the skill set ready to go to hit the ground running. Right. So that's something that we've really been aware of.
Yeah, and I think too, we hosted actually a webinar on this topic, business continuity planning and recovery preparation. And I think one of the things, Sachit was there with us, and also we had Jay Shaw from Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, who is in emergency preparedness. And he said something that really stuck with me, and it was, recovery starts now. So there is still all of this stuff that we're trying to figure out, we're trying to sort through as a society, as a city, as a neighborhood. But it really is thinking about everything that you're trying to do and figure out right now, and how much of your finances do you have to rely on for the next little bit. It is, what do you need to do? And to Sachit's point, I think one of the big thing is really about taking care of your people. So whether those are the people in your supply chain that are providing you with the goods that you're going to need when you need to ramp back up, it's your employees, whether they're still with you or you've had to go into temporary layoffs, and it's really checking in with them. And I think that's the big thing. It's going to be different when we come out the other side of this. And when we look at the number of Canadians that are looking for EI support, when businesses do get back up and running and full steam ahead, hopefully on the other side of this, is the challenge is going to be, people are going to have sort of their pick of where they want to work. So I think that's important. And it's also managing the reputation right now as well. Going back to, I think Sachit had talked about this earlier in the week, about going back to the people that, that your big customers that you've relied on. Are there things that you can call them and go back to them again? And I just shared that little bit of information with a florist downtown, and she's like, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's a great point, So, and I think the other thing is this time right now is really forcing rapid innovation. Whether we like it or not, things are going to be different when we come out the other side of this. So when you see businesses getting online really quickly, if they weren't online before, figuring out how to use social media. And the other part is collaboration. So when we're looking at the different sectors, is how can hotels work together? So hotels can be successful when it comes to tourism. How can Winnipeg really put its best foot forward together to show that Winnipeg, when it is safe to do so, we are open again, we're back for business, we're welcoming here, and we're ready to give you the best experience.
I'll back it up actually from what Kate and Sachit even talked about. I'll even go back to more of a small one-off little business like I got going on here. I think the biggest sanity for me in step one is talking to other business owners that are similar to me. Talking to the guy, like Mike from King of Bannatyne or Nick from Bodego's or Vicky's down the street, talking to them and kind of hearing and sharing our pain and little successes if we might have one, right? So I think reaching out to the network of other businesses and that, and there's no shame in saying, hey, I'm really dying here. What are you guys doing? Mike, Nick, and I, we have a real chat, and we're anytime there's a news alert or an announcement made, or Kate says something great, or the Dave Pensato from Exchange Biz, or the Prime Minister, we're blasting it right away to each other to show that support. So I think small businesses, reach out to your network of small businesses and tell them that it's hard and you don't know what to do and you don't know how to hold off suppliers and you don't know what to do with rent. And just between me talking to other entrepreneurs, we've come up with a lot of creative ideas on how to help each other. So I think that's step one, just to keep your head above water where we're at. Because for some businesses, it's some guys are drowning, and it's sad to see. But I think you need to send out that life raft and ask for help. Step two is once you do stabilize, I think the big thing is get in the right headspace of walking yourself through. This is going to be okay, and what do I need to do to keep afloat until I'm ready to really relaunch? And step 2 and 3 is, okay, we're ready to launch. What does that look like? Maybe for me, we've already talked, maybe we have a smaller menu for the beginning. Maybe we have smaller hours just to slowly work our way into that, because I won't be able to go out and hire 60 people right away because I laid off 60. I don't know if I'll be able to have the sales to afford that. So there's nothing wrong with when we are ready to get back to take it slowly and slowly work your way back into that workforce and get back to where you were. But I think for me, the biggest saving grace is honestly reaching out to people. Like Sach, and I got a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm so blessed to know some people to be like, I'm in trouble. What am I doing? Or, to hear, I have another friend of mine who's got multiple restaurants, millions and millions of dollars, and all over Canada and North America, actually. And he actually messaged me saying, hey, Obby, do you have 10 minutes to talk? I need to talk to someone because I don't know what to do.
Wow. And
this is a CEO of a major company that has restaurants throughout North America that's reaching out to me because he just wanted an ear to listen to. So I think, or a ear to listen. So I think that's really important.
I got two comments just building off Obby for a second, and that maybe in reverse order. The first comment is just, in terms of timeline, right? And, if we really kind of roll this back a little bit, I think it hit Manitoba around the 12th, where we really started to kind of hear this thing locally, right? We closed on the 16th, partly because what I was seeing coming out of Ontario and Quebec, and decided staff-wise and customers-wise, this was just scary stuff, and we've seen the ramp up. The problem is on the other side of this, and Obby's 100% right, we are not going to start off where we left off. If you think you're going to do 100 guests the day you open, that's not the case. And you might have to, you might lose money for the first month restarting again, just because, you have, in our case, I don't necessarily have the option of putting out a smaller buffet. It's going to have to be a big buffet every time because that's what people expect. And you're going to have to restart with that, and it'll be a daily loss till you can spin the bike back up to that regular schedule. The last comment I'd make to Obby as well is just the other thing, and I think Obby's great at this, and I certainly try, and that is advocacy. Talk to those people that are in positions of power or influence, and they don't necessarily know. They don't know what Obby's going through with 6 spots. They don't know what I'm going through with my 3 spots in different jurisdictions, and the problems we have, or the dozens of people I spoke to today or this week in terms of business and what's happening on the ground. I can tell you right now, I think it's been very good advocacy by a lot of people that led to the 75% wage subsidy that was more formally announced today, which I'm telling you is going to be a huge help across the board for a lot of small businesses as it gets thrown in. And I think this conversation needs to continue happening around all the time.
One thing, of course, I'm not a business owner like you guys are, and Kate, I don't deal with managing support for businesses like you do. But one thing, as you guys brought up, that you kind of forget, at least I forget as a consumer, that when everything's over and now you guys are back in business and you need people, you need to rehire the people that you laid off, they may not necessarily be available to you, right? Like Obby is saying, may have to have a smaller staff and have reduced hours just so you can build up and get back to where you were. That totally was a point that I never even thought about. I just thought about, you're open now and carry on, right?
Well,
I'll be there. I'll be there, Satch, as long as you got the meatballs on the menu.
I promise you, they will always be. I got some right now, actually. So
now you tell me.
Hey, Kevin, the only other thing I would say on that as well is, look, we have to exit 60 days, 90 days, whatever that is, relatively as an economy unscathed. It's not clear right now what that will look like. If you have a scenario where all the small fish have died for whatever reason, and the medium-sized fish and the big fish have nothing left to eat, you're looking at a scenario that is very different than the scenario that we have today. I'll leave that there. Like, I don't want to jump down that rabbit hole, but at the end of the day, 80% business in Canada is small and medium business, right? Like, that's all of us. And if everything is kind of decaying underneath us, we've got to be very, very careful for that 60 and 90 days, right? And I think the next 30 days will be very telling.
Right.
Yeah, and I think on that point too, if we look at the downtown, I mean, one of the things that makes downtown so unique compared to the rest of the city is there are so many small and medium independent restaurants, retailers that are providing something that is so different to the big box stores and the chains that you find out in some of the other neighborhoods. And that's one thing. It's never about urban versus suburban for us. It's about a strong downtown really does benefit all Winnipeggers from an economic perspective, but also from a community perspective. And arts and culture are really hurting right now too. If you think about the art gallery and the Human Rights Museum and the ballet and the symphony and the theater, all of these things that, you think of, you're going to go for dinner and a show, you're going to go catch a concert and you're going to grab a drink and all of these things that make life what it is in downtown Winnipeg. We want to make sure that we can still have that when we get to the other side, because it is something that we can not only be proud of, but something that makes life, I think, a little more interesting than just going to work and going home. And some of the challenges that everyone's facing right now around homeschooling and, the frontline workers that are giving everything they've got and going into the hospitals and taking care of our community. It is still those things and those gems that make our city so special and so unique, and we got to support them however we can so they can still be there, so you can go in and grab your local coffee and go to the buffet, grab your shawarma, and all of those things that just were kind of used to be regular life that I think maybe we did take for granted. I know I did. It was really easy for me to run and grab a coffee and grab lunch and get right back to my next meeting, and I can't do that anymore. So we've shifted, we're ordering delivery and takeout and finding ways to shop online. I can't remember the last time I visited Amazon website. So I'm really looking for how can I support the local businesses so they can still be there when we do get to the other side of this.
Right, and that was exactly my next question. Like, what kinds of things, can Winnipeg do or local consumers do to support their local businesses, right? While they're closed, the ones that are open doing delivery, but even the ones that have closed, what kind of things can you do to try to help them open or stay open?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're doing at the Biz, we are looking at building a gift card program. So, are there things that you can purchase online now to use later when the business does reopen? There's a challenge around fitness centers and wellness, that have had to close. So I'm still keeping my Y membership going, even though I can't go into the Y just to support them. I want it to be there when I get back. And if you could buy a 10-class pass for something that because frankly, the amount of delivery and takeout I am now eating, I am going to go and need to visit all of the gyms and fitness centers downtown when we get to the other side of this.
One thing I'll add to that is how can people help out? And this is really for the listeners out there is, reach out to whatever restaurant, whatever retail store, whatever gym you like, and just buy a gift card. I have had so many wonderful friends and people actually I don't even know just email, and I've had probably a dozen people e-transfer me money. And they're like, here's $100 e-transfer, but I want a $100 gift card because we're a small business. We don't have the ability to take money online and load up a gift card for that payment. So they're literally transferring money and saying, just mail me a $100 gift card, Obby, to this address. It goes so far. On the first time a friend of mine, Mark Morovich, did that, he sent me, it was right in the beginning. He sent me $200 and I go, call him. He goes, you sent me $200 by accident. He goes, no, that's not for you. It's for your business. He goes, I want $200 gift cards. And I literally broke down in tears.
That is awesome.
And I've had dozens of people, and I'm so blessed that way. But reach out to whatever place you like. Just call them and say, "Hey, I want to support you. Can I buy something? Can I, like Kate said, can I transfer you some money, and you can send me some product later, or whatever it is." That money in their hand could literally make the difference between them turning on the lights the next day or not.
I couldn't agree more. And the underlying message really there is in terms of, the fabric of our society, right? Whether that's in downtown Winnipeg or across Winnipeg or Manitoba, the reality is that the culture and the lifestyle that we all enjoy is really made up of all these unique experiences, right? And that we all come together and create them. Again, whether it's the Indian restaurant or it's the Shwarma restaurant made by the local celebrity, we all come together and we enjoy those things. And boy, I'll tell you, in my 26 years, I have seen many things in business. I've seen financial crises. I've seen various medical crises. I've never seen anything like this, and I don't think any of the other presenters, Kate and Obby, have either. This is really unprecedented. So I think the challenge is unique. I think we're all going through it together. I think the best advice is we're all supporting each other together. I don't think presenters on this call are unfamiliar with supporting local programs and services and whatnot. And I can probably speak pretty confidently when I say for every local entrepreneur I know they're huge supporters of Winnipeg across the board. And the message would be support local now, because boy, if not now, I just don't know.
For entrepreneurs out there, it's pretty confusing right now. The federal government is changing a lot of things daily, and I think they're doing the best they can, so hats off to them. But there's a lot of stuff changing, whether it's the work share program, whether it's CERB, or the 10% subsidy to 75% subsidy to, I don't even know what that means. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to call your banker. I've been on the phone with BDC and RBC more this week than I have in the 6 years owning business, saying, what does this mean? How can I use this to my benefit? I don't know what this 10% is called.
And sometimes they don't know.
Yeah. And they don't know. But call your payworks company, say, is there anything? Because I have 6 restaurants. I ran payroll for them. I assumed they were automatically set up for the subsidy. They weren't. So now I can retroactively get that money back. But it's okay to not know. It's okay to ask for help. Just call someone, ask them for help. Call me. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. Call Sach. Call Kate. That's what she's there for. There are people there to help you. It's okay not to know. It's really okay.
They're going to blame you now when their phones get inundated with phone calls. That.
That's great. I mean, I got nothing to do other than eating mini eggs now anyways.
That's awesome. You guys, I appreciate your time. Is there anything you guys want to say in closing, Sachit, Kate?
Kevin, thank you for the opportunity. And, I really do want to shout out Kate for just doing a phenomenal job. We've had some great progress here in downtown Winnipeg. The curbside pickup stuff is fantastic. I know the advocacy with the mayor has been ongoing, consistent. I think that's fantastic, and more of it the better. Obby is probably one of our greatest spokespeople in Manitoba for the businesses across the city, and thank you for all of that. I think we all need to keep doing what we're doing, and we'll get there. We'll get through this. Winnipeggers are resilient. We've been through this before. We'll get it done.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, everyone's saying, and you see the hashtag out there, in this together, and I think that's what Winnipeggers always do. We figure it out. And I think it's really important now, as we talked about, to support local. There's some great stuff happening out there, and businesses are really stepping up. I've seen downtown businesses contributing to the community as well, and to that spirit of supporting each other and finding ways. We have also downtown Winnipeg a vulnerable population that is also facing challenges, and I think we're seeing some really great work from the businesses coming together to support one another. And I couldn't thank these two guys enough more, and you, Kevin, as well, just for getting the word out there. Thank you.
Look at this guy with his selfie. That's perfect. That's a perfect ending with the bodybuilder and the selfie taker.
Well, I mean, Kate's got her gown. She looks like she's ready to go out for a night. Kevin, you haven't aged a day in 20 years, so
that's it. Awesome, you guys. Thanks. I appreciate this.
Thanks very much, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Right. Enjoy your night.
Bye.
You too.
I don't know how to exit this now.
I don't know.
I'll end the meeting right now.
It's okay to ask. It's okay to ask.
Is Shwarma Khan delivering mini eggs? That's what I want.
I got a whole bag. It was bad. $10 is on sale. Wholesale club.
New business model.
All right, it's terrible.
We know what he's gonna look like when this is
I hit
done.
the red button. Hold on.
Here we
Okay,
go.
bye guys.
Bye.